I played every new Mario Kart 8 booster track, Part 2 edition. Here are my impressions. So I made a video where I played every Mario Kart game, and then I made another video when the first booster course came out where I played all of the new tracks and gave my impressions. Well, another pack has dropped, and that means it's time to take a look at all of them. Without any further ado, let's get into it and play some Mario Kart. The two new cups are the Turnip Cup and the Propeller Cup. Let's start with the Turnip Cup. New York Minute is a track that is originally from Mario Kart Tour. Right off the bat, I've gotta say that I love the music on this track. It really gives me these classy, big band, jazzy Broadway vibes. This track really comes out swinging with the presentation too. Set at night in a lit up city center, this track features a continuous track without lap resets, meaning that every lap is unique in some kind of way. My favorite little visual detail is the fun Donkey Kong screen that's front and center when you start the race. I know this race is supposed to start in kind of a pseudo Times Square, and they really did manage to nail a small scale version of that look. They even have a fun little Statue of Liberty that you can see from one of the tunnels. Like I mentioned a second ago, this track has a changing layout depending on what lap you're running. While the actual track itself doesn't seem to change, the boundaries and guiding arrows do, leading you to take different paths as you complete the laps. It's a lot of fun and gives this track way more variety than it would have otherwise, and that's not even taking into account the multiple paths you can take. While I really enjoy this track, I do have one minor gripe. There's a few cabs and buses that are used as track hazards here, and for some reason they don't move at all. They're just sitting motionless on the street, which is made even more confusing because the cars in the Coconut Mall track from the last booster set were actually updated to start moving this time. I don't know why they made this choice, but it is kind of an odd one. Other than that though, this is a fantastic first track and a great start for the pack. I really like this track. Mario Circuit 3 originally comes from the very first Super Mario Kart and really just feels like a faithful adaptation of the Super Nintendo style. There are some neat little background elements like the characters sitting on the little boxes in the background, but the song used and the track itself are pretty bland in my opinion. There's not really any Mario Kart flair or DNA here. It just feels like a Super Mario Kart track straight transplanted into this game with minimal changes. Yeah, it's a nice looking track and I like the aesthetic, but it just doesn't feel like there's much meat to it. There's not really any interesting track mechanics, nor are there any changes at all in the laps. It's just 3 straightforward laps and it's over. That's it. I'm only 2 tracks in, but this is definitely the weaker of the two. I will say that if you're looking for a no-frills track without any of the bells and whistles so you can go head-to-head with others with no distractions, then this is definitely a good pick. The thing is that for me, I really like tracks that have some kind of dynamic element. I spoke with a friend about this while I was recording this footage, and he said that he really liked the track. So whether or not you'll like this track, I guess just depends on what kind of Mario Kart player you are. Our next track is Kalimari Desert, and it's originally from Mario Kart 64. In this track, you're racing through the desert, but with the added obstacle of a train and the train tracks. But the actual aesthetic of the track is pretty faithful to Mario Kart 64's version, just updated. There is a change in the second and third laps that make it feel like you're on a completely different track though, including an oncoming train and this cool tilted vertical ramp. The best part of this track by far is the train though. There's something about the added level of semi-randomness that keeps you on your toes. It can come by at any time, and at one point it's coming straight at you. I really like the fun twists they put into this track. It's nothing crazy, there's no anti-gravity segments, but I definitely feel better about this track than I do about Mario Circuit. Waluigi Pinball debuted in Mario Kart DS, and honestly, this is one of my top tracks in the entire Mario Kart series, so I'm really excited to see it make its return here. The version that we're seeing here, to my knowledge, is 1-1 the same as the version that's currently in Mario Kart Tour, but either way, that version is pretty faithful to the original version we saw in Mario Kart DS. This is a solid track, with all kinds of fun pinballs, bumpers, and awesome looking neon signs and lights, and it's all super vibrant. I really like the vibrant colors in this track, and it reminds me a lot of the look of the vibrant colors in Mario Kart Arcade GP DX. That really is a mouthful. My favorite little detail about this track though, is how all of the sound effects, from the lap jingle to the sound the little slot machine makes when you're picking up an item, all of the sounds have a fun little chiptune noise to them now that makes them sound kinda sorta 8-bit. I may be a bit biased, but this track still holds up as one of the best in the series in my opinion. Though I will be fair here and say that I do wish they changed something. This track is the perfect example of a track that could have a cool anti-gravity segment. It already has the cool neon electronic vibe, why not anti-gravity? I know it's probably a lot of work to rework the tracks, especially if they're just porting them come over from Tour, but some of these tracks could really be elevated, no pun intended, with newer mechanics like anti-gravity or even underwater segments. Of course, though, I might be getting a little bit off track. Anyways, that's it for the Turnip Cup. Honestly, pretty strong start for me. The weakest link here was definitely Mario Circuit 3, but not every single track is gonna be a banger either. Either way, we got 3 really solid tracks here. In fact, I think I like this cup as a whole more than the last 2 booster cups. My only gripe, again, is that none of the tracks I've seen so far in these booster packs use any of Mario Kart 8's new mechanics, but I already ranted about that, so let's see how the Propeller Cup stacks up. The first track in the Propeller Cup is Sydney Sprint, and this is a track that was originally featured in Mario Kart Tour, as is tradition for the first tracks in these cups at this point. You probably guessed this from the name, but this track is based on Sydney, Australia, with the Sydney Opera House as a big background element. This track feels a bit less, I don't know, grand compared to the other Tour tracks we've seen so far. It's visually pleasant, and it has a catchy tune, but at least for me, it doesn't really hit the highs we saw in something like the New York Minute track. I did really enjoy all the background elements though, like the carnival rides and the moving tramway. Plus, this track does have a bunch of terrain variety, so it's not boring or anything, it just doesn't go wild or wacky in any ways. It's a no-nonsense fun track with a pretty decent layout. Well, actually, there is one segment where it's just a ton of ramps, and that's actually pretty fun. Overall though, it's a solid track. I don't dislike it, it just doesn't really do anything special to me. Snowland originated in Mario Kart Super Circuit for the Game Boy Advance. I'll be honest, I don't really remember much from the original version of this track, but I can say that I really enjoyed this version of it anyways. The glossy, icy track and the winter theme with the stylized ice crystals is kind of this cartoony, almost GameCube aesthetic that this track 100% nails. The music here is also really catchy. It's got this fun accordion melody and this kind of supporting whistle theme that sounds like something you'd hear at a carnival. The track Obstacles here is mostly just a bunch of penguins waddling and sliding around on the ice. I have a soft spot for penguins, so obviously I'm going to like that aspect. Overall, I enjoy this track. It again doesn't really do anything to take advantage of the new game mechanics, but honestly, I've kind of come to expect that at this point. This would have been the perfect track for an underwater segment, but I don't want to complain too much. In my opinion, Mushroom Gorge is one of the most iconic tracks from Mario Kart Wii, just behind something like Coconut Mall, and this version of the track is pretty faithful to the original. Mushroom Gorge's big gimmick is that there's giant mushrooms that you can bounce around on, and that's still here, and as always, it's still a ton of fun. One thing that I do want to highlight here though is the huge visual upgrade. It retains mostly the same style from the Wii version, but an area that got a huge upgrade was the open crystal cavern part of this track. There are these huge, beautiful, bright crystals on the walls of the cavern, and they contrast a lot with the darker brownish track tint, especially since this is kind of a dark part of the track, meaning that your headlights are on, it's dark, but there's these neon bright crystals on the wall. I really like this, and I think it's a big improvement to an already great track. Moving on to the final track in this pack, we have Sky High Sundae. Sky High Sundae is a unique course in that it's the very first course in these booster courses to be a wholly original track. By that, I mean this course didn't come from any previous Mario Kart game. Now, I do need to point out that it was almost immediately added to Mario Kart Tour, but it debuted here first. Oh, and guess what? This track actually has anti-gravity segments. That's right, they finally did it. They finally made a track with anti-gravity, and honestly, it's a lot of fun. The entire theme of this track is that everything is a frozen dessert, and I love this aesthetic, and I think it's really creative. You're driving on scoops around a giant sundae and right over frozen ice cubes. Also, at the beginning of the track, there's this little ice cream bar with the Shy Guys, Toads, and a Yoshi. Plus, it's visually distinct because there's this mixture of pastel ice cream colors, but also the deep icy blues of the straight-up ice segments of the track. It really is a super cool track. Maybe I'm a bit biased, but because it actually uses the anti-gravity element of Mario Kart 8, this is definitely my favorite out of all of the new tracks in these 2 cups so far. I really hope that the response to this track is positive and it encourages them to make more tracks like this. And with this track, we're actually done with both of the new cups. Honestly, looking at all the tracks from this booster pack and the last one, I think I'm a bit torn. I don't know if I can say definitively which one I prefer as a whole package, though I can say with complete certainty that New York Minute and Sky High Sundae are the biggest highlights for me to come out of this this pack. Overall though, after thinking about it, regardless of how I feel about the quality of this pack as a whole, it does feel like they put a little bit more time and effort into it versus the last one. There was only really one weak track in my opinion, and that's, you know, my opinion, and almost all of the tracks have some cool dynamic element to them. I think this is a really solid set of 8 extra tracks, and 8 tracks is nothing to scoff at either way. While I am still excited about Wave 3, I don't know how I feel about this trend of straight porting over the tracks from Tour, especially since they, again, don't really use much of what makes Mario Kart 8 so special. Yeah, it's nice to have a huge quantity of tracks available, and you'll be hard-pressed to run out if you only play the game every once in a while with friends, but at the same time, this game has so much more potential. Going on a little bit of a tangent here, I know everyone that isn't actively a game publisher scoffs at this phrase, but this game could be a massive live service game, more so than it already is. While I don't have the recent numbers, I do know that Mario Kart 8 is still one of the top-selling games every week, so I guess they don't have much incentive to pour more resources than they absolutely have to into this because it'll sell either way. I am still happy to have more tracks, but I do think it's healthy to be a little bit critical sometimes. So with this, we have now covered both of the booster packs. You can definitely expect another one of these videos when the next one is released too. I also have another dedicated Mario Kart 8 related video that I'm working on the side as well, so keep an eye out. Oh, and if you haven't already, definitely go check out my I Played Every Mario Kart game video. And before I go, I really want to thank my patrons, including Melancholis in the Omega Gamer tier, and That's Just Ash and Cup of the Meg Solohan in the Played Every Game tier. And of course, every single name you see on the screen right here. Thank you so much, it really means the world to me. And by the way, just as a little reward for the people still watching, usually people just click right off the video right as I start closing it out, I'll go ahead and tell you what the next Mario Kart 8 video is. The next Mario Kart 8 video is going to be a tier list made by me of every single track from the entirety of Mario Kart 8, including DLC and the booster courses. From there, every time I make a new booster course video, I'm going to update the tier list with the new courses. Definitely keep an eye out for that because I think it's going to be really fun. I'll probably live stream the process for the first time. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'm still working on the next I Played Every Game video too, so keep an eye out for that too. And of course, as always, have a fantastic day.